Hey, good afternoon. I am Mark Milstein. I lead the SGE, or Sustainable Global Enterprise Immersion. Not everybody knows what is meant by the term Sustainable Global Enterprise, so let's talk about that for a minute and give you a sense of what this immersion is. Really, the central question that we're looking at for the semester is what's the distinct role that business or the private sector can play in addressing the world's most pressing social and environmental problems. Now, what's interesting about that question is we're not talking about it from a philanthropic standpoint. We're not talking about it from an aid standpoint. We're really talking about it from a profit-making standpoint. And so the intellectual and practical core of what the SGE immersion is about starts with this notion of sustainable development, big, core, sticky problems that the world is facing, things like climate change, ecosystem degradation, poverty. What's business's role in solving those problems? Why would business be motivated to actually address those problems? And really, when you look at companies, there's three ways that companies tend to approach these issues. One is they look at it from what we'll call an environmental management perspective, looking at the issues from a compliance or a pollution prevention or a risk management perspective. And this is really driven by the desire of companies to save costs. The second way is where companies are looking at it from a philanthropic or community relations or a corporate social responsibility reporting perspective. And there, that corporate social responsibility perspective is really fundamentally about maintaining relationships, both with communities and government and with their own employees. What we're focused on is something a little different. We're focused on sustainable enterprise. So we're looking at these problems as the basis for entrepreneurship and innovation, looking at sustainability as a way to create new revenue opportunities. So that means new products and new services that can address poverty and climate change and ecosystem degradation. So throughout the immersion, this is what we're always trying to strive towards, is working with companies to come up with solutions that have a revenue-oriented basis to them. So the way the immersion, some of the basics about the immersion, we were established in 2006. So we're going, right now we have our 13th cohort going through the program. Students work in multidisciplinary teams, and by that I mean 75% of the class is MBAs. The other 25% of the class are made up of non-Johnson Cornell graduate students from other programs around campus. And this allows you to work with people with different disciplinary backgrounds, different perspectives. The program includes an opportunity to go to New York and to Washington to talk to practitioners in the public, the private, and the nonprofit areas and look at the work that they're doing around sustainability, particularly as it relates to business. And then the immersion itself is customizable because everybody's interests in sustainability are a little bit different. Some are more interested in energy issues, some are more interested in economic development issues. And so, as Vishal was talking about a little bit earlier, within the immersion, you've got a chance to add electives into the immersion while you're taking it that allow you to focus on content areas that's particularly interesting to you. Now, the program's track record is quite good. I think I said it was a 13th year. We've had 12 years now of the immersion. In that time, we've had 89 different sponsors of projects. They've sponsored 120 projects, so there's a certain percentage of sponsors that come back in multiple years. And then over time, we've been able to rapidly scale up a very strong, cohesive alumni network. And this is really important, not just for getting an internship and a full-time opportunity, but for networking beyond your years here at Johnson. The projects that students work on can touch on any one of a number of content areas, everything from agriculture to hospitality to water issues to transportation, and they cover any functional area. So it can be brand management projects, there are finance projects, there are marketing projects, some are general management consulting projects, others have to do with operations. Each year it changes slightly. The SGE immersion experience really is made up of two components. One is the discipline-based technical skills that everybody will learn and develop in the core. You'll get different tools and frameworks through your core classes. And then you combine those with a managerial skill set that makes a big difference in the contribution that you can make both in your internship and your full-time opportunity after graduation. And so these are developing skills like critical decision making, your leadership potential, your ability to deal with innovation and entrepreneurship and technology management. And all of this is intended to make you a much stronger general manager throughout your career. That's really what the SG Immersion is built upon. So a lot of folks are very curious when they get here and they start asking about the SG Immersion. What kind of internship can I get? Where can I go? And this is an example of where our students have gone for internships. What you'll notice about the representation of the logos that are on this slide is it ranges everywhere from we've had interns that have worked in the White House and the National Park Service to interns that have worked on Wall Street and Goldman Sachs to working in consumer products companies like Unilever and P&G to working in high tech like Apple and IBM. There's really no one model that an SG Immersion student ends up following, no one path that an SG Immersion student ends up following during their internship. And more importantly, the same thing can be said about full-time employment. Our students, our alumni are everywhere. They're doing all kinds of things. Some of them are doing very core fundamental jobs that have nothing to do really explicitly with sustainability. They just used their opportunity while they were here to do the immersion, to get an opportunity to work directly with a variety of companies. And then they took that knowledge and it helped make them a better manager going forward. Other students are working directly in the sustainability space. They're working in clean energy. They're working on economic development. And so the SG Immersion is an opportunity to really explore a very important set of issues, but then be able to express that from an employment perspective in any way that you would want to. Students often ask, why bother to do the SG Immersion? And so these are a few of the reasons. One is it's what Johnson is actually known for. It's got a distinctive, we have a distinctive competence in this area. We're one of the top programs in sustainability. We have a very unique perspective that we try to focus in on in terms of that revenue generation component. And it's a chance to work with leading faculty and staff in this area and to tap into an alumni base that is very supportive. It covers the issues that are going to be relevant in your careers and lifetime, not just from a business standpoint, but that transcend the business community, but for which the business community have a really important role to play. It will challenge you intellectually and practically. The projects that students work on are really difficult. They're ambiguous. They're strategic. They're open-ended. There's no one set rule. There's no one set of answers that a team has to work towards. You're going to be given a very broad project, and you're going to be looked to for a competent answer. It gives you something to talk about. Some students come from non-traditional backgrounds, and they're very worried about how they're going to be able to get an internship that they want, how employers will see them as being relevant to business, and the fact that you're able to work on a project with a real company gives you an opportunity to project that out to future employers. That helps bolster your resume and give you more options going forward. It gives you an incredible cohort and alumni network. It's one of the tightest knit cohorts that exists within Johnson, and it exists across time, so that whether a student graduated from the first immersion cohort in 2007 or they're graduating this year, the fact that you're going through that same process that they went through will give you a bond that is very strong. They're very responsive to that. And lastly, it allows you to structure your experience here to enable you to maintain your individuality. You may be interested in, like I said, different aspects of sustainability, but this gives you a common foundation for understanding what business's role in addressing very difficult problems can be, and then gives you the tools to move forward and to be able to do that effectively.